This is my open high low close and open low high close indicator name, as well as indicator settings. A lot of you guys been requesting, yo, these here Tina Circle Trader, what is the indicator using? Can I have the name as well as the settings, right? To get just like yours. This video is primarily just for that. And a lot of you guys have been requesting for my DXY analysis. For DXY analysis, I don't analyze DXY. I just use it primarily for S&P confirmations. I primarily analyze EURUSD, and those who knows it, right? I just use DXY. You could do the same steps as my last video where I did my my how I do my market analysis step-by-step approach, right? You could do the same thing with DXY. Everything applies to every market. But I don't trade DXY because it can't be traded, as well as I use DXY just for the 4-hour or daily or weekly S&P divergences, right? I don't nothing else but that, because I don't analyze it. I primarily analyze EURUSD. But enough of that ranting. This is my open low and open high locals concept indicator and indicator setting. Why does this indicator matter? Because it doesn't matter. I mean, this makes it easier for you to see the high and the low of that, of that specific day, of that specific 4-hour candle, of the Pacific weekly candle, right? Without going to the higher time frame. So yeah, that's that. This helps you knowing, okay, if the low is already placed there, if the low, this helps you look at the Pacific lows and Pacific highs, as well as knowing, okay, there's a low is already placed there. This could potentially make the high here, right? So that's what it does. It's just open high low close and open low high close. That's all it does, right? That's the concept, but just makes it with an indicator, makes it easy to read, right? So now let's get straight into the settings here. The name is ITT high different candle by 40. I do not do the 5-minute. I do not do the 15-minute. I do not do the anything else. I only do the monthly, the 4-hour, and the daily and the weekly. Why do I do the monthly as the open high low close concept as well? Primarily because of one thing, is because of the 4th week, right? So this helps me with the the weekly open high low close concept for the monthly time frame, right? So the monthly, for the monthly close, there's going to be a weekly open high low close, right? So the weekly, the first week going to be accumulation, second week mid placement, third week expansion. So the mid placement makes the low of the week, low of the month, right? Shit like that, right? And eventually expansion makes the high of the month, and retracement to end of the week in the monthly range. The reason I have the monthly as one of our settings here is because the monthly for the 4th week for the retracement, because you need to reset, saying it's the higher time frame. The higher time frame that monthly affects the weekly. A weekly affects the daily. The daily affects the lower time frames, right? So that's why, and that's the primary reason why we're using it, because the most important higher time frame you should care about is the daily, weekly, and the monthly, right? The 3-month is important, but the most important is the weekly, monthly, and a daily, because that affects your bias, right? But this is my settings here. I marked the high time frame 4. You could adjust in however you like. That's my settings, right? 111. Eventually limit to next. High time frame only 6 right over here, and eventually this is my coloring to my drawing here, which is, you could just copy things. You guys could take a screenshot or whatever, right? Eventually this is the body. This is the bearish candle body right over here. You can see this one has, if you want to see the numbers here, you just gotta click the plus button and see the number right over there. And this is for the next one, for the borders and the wick. The border and the wick are the same colors, okay? So yeah, eventually padding from current candles 10, space between candles 1, space between the higher time frame, space between higher time frame 10, candle width 1. Why do we say 10? Because so they stick together. It makes it really difficult to understand here, right? Although the indicator, although it's not gonna give you any benefit, it actually gives you a benefit. He helps you know the open high locals concept way more efficient, right? High time frame label is tiny. Mimic time is tiny. You can see it's tiny. So if it's big, it messes up your screen, right? So for value gaps and balances, I turn it off because I only need one candle. I don't need a bunch of candles on my screen, right? Which is it makes me mad, right? I just need to know one candle, because I don't need to know the previous open high low close. I need to know the specific open high low close concept of this specific time, right? I don't care about the previous candles, right? Or I don't care that previous candle was already, has already time was already ran out, right? I care about the current one. And trace lines, yes, eventually open is going to be this black line right over here. It's going to be that's the color and one, and eventually price label is going to be black and tiny right over here, right? The price label, I turned it off because I don't need it, right? But you can see right over here, the trace lines, the black one helps us with the opening price. So this is the opening price of the weekly candle, right? And why do we mark the weekly candle? Because the weekly candle is very important, right, for day traders, right? So that's the opening price of the weekly candle. And throughout the whole week, I know, okay, throughout the whole week. So if I'm buying below this, or below this line, okay, I'm buying below the weekly candle. I'm selling above this, above this weekly, above this line. So I'm selling above the weekly opening price, right? Which is great, right? Which we want to do. You're not always gonna sell above it or buy below it, but usually, I'm saying at the start of the week you should be able to do that, but at the end of the week you should not be able to do that, right? You could also be able to do that as well, but it doesn't matter, right? All that matters is indicator. Not here to yap so much here, right? So this is why this is my indicator. And shout out to the guy Fadi for giving this indicator. Very nice, very easy to read the open high low close concept. Yeah, thank you for watching. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, share, and join the Discord. Listen down below. Make sure you guys join Discord, free, limited time signals in our Discord. Gold signals, USD signals, and sectinic pair signals, as well as crypto signals. See you guys later. Peace out.